Gianluca Brunori. Gianluca is agricultural economist from the University of Pisa. He's the head of a group in agriculture economics, and this group works especially on farmers, individual and collective strategy, and on the socio-economic impact of the supply chain.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the organizers. Actually, I'm following what it was said by the speaker before me, because I'm going to center my presentation around the foresight exercise we have carried out for the SCA, Standing Committee of Agricultural Research, and the European Commission. And the question that we were posed by the SCA was how research can reach a safe and just operating space based on sustainable development goals, climate agreements, etc. There are already some, let's say, pledges of the international community, and to what extent research can contribute in the field of the food and food systems. And after an exercise, a foresight exercise of 2 years, we identified the 3 pathways. The first one is related to nutrition. We identified a kind of a target of achieving sustainable diets. The second one is related to circularity, and the third one is related to system diversity. So these 3 pathways concur in creating a change of the food system in order to achieve a safe and just operating space. Why we consider 3 aspects such this? The fact is that we think that sustainable diets introduce a new paradigm for nutrition science, because so far nutrition has been related to health, human health, body health. But when you consider sustainable diets, you have to consider both health of the people and health of the planet. And sometimes the 2 aspects are not coinciding. For example, there are some food that is scarce, so it is needed to consider also their relative scarcity. The second aspect of and the second paradigm change is related to agricultural sciences. Circularity is a paradigm that is now applied also in the industrial industrial field, but it starts from agriculture. The fact is that in the so-called modern agriculture, this paradigm had been change, and so we had a kind of linear agriculture. When we consider circularity, we are considering the idea of managing natural cycles to increase the natural productivity of agriculture, but based on natural cycles. And this should be a paradigm, for example, agroecology, that applies to the new approaches to agriculture. The third aspect is related to system diversity. So when we consider system diversity, we consider both biodiversity, but also economic and social diversity. And this introduced a new paradigm for economic sciences, because in the past, in the last century, the idea was that the success was related to simplification, standardization, growth in size, and unique models. What we see now is that resilience and success is into difference, into differentiation, capacity to adapt to different contexts. So what is the role of farming on that? We consider that also farming in the new context with the new direction also provided by research policies and innovation policy should have different types of models. And in particular, we have to consider that farming now is in a very dynamic environment, and each farm has to deal with a variety of conditions, from pedoclimatic conditions, rural community, but also value chains, governance systems, and resource systems. And the success of farming in this new phase is the capacity of positioning the farm in a space, a multidimensional space based on these aspects. And so the activity of farming is a kind of assemblages of these different relations. So in this context, what do farmers need? First of all, they have to strengthen strategic capacity. So capacity to identify an objective, capacity to understand the context, capacity to identify the right tools to achieve their objectives. The second aspect is related to capacity to coping and adaptation to the context. The third aspect is the management of diversity. We have seen that diversity is going to be a new paradigm for economic practices. So when you have diversity, diversity brings complexity, but also opportunities. So what is needed to manage diversity? And then the fourth aspect is learning. So the idea that learning is not just a top-down approach. You don't learn just learning from, let's say, from science, but you learn by doing. And in this case, you have to consider the capacity of farmers to create space for interaction. So we have in this paradigm change, we have some changes. And as you can see now, this is related to several aspects I mentioned before. Diversity. In the old paradigm, there is a reduction of diversity, and the new paradigm, there is increase of diversity and management of diversity. And what is the relation to the context, to the environment? In the old paradigm, there is the effort to create an environment fit to technology. So we have technology, and the environment should be adapted to the technology. And in the new paradigm, it is the technology that is adapted to the changing environment. The farmers' focus in the old paradigms, the key aspect is yields. In the new paradigms, it's value, and sometimes value and yields are not positively correlated. If you see, for example, wine, there is a trade-offs between yields and value and quality. And then what is the role of experiments? In the old paradigm, isolating cause-effect relationships from farm environmental noise. So the purpose of the old paradigm is to isolate, to, let's say, to identify the most relevant cause-effect relationships. Whereas in the new paradigm, so what is important, especially for a big part of experiment, is to understand the role of the environment. So also the terms of the knowledge generated is different. In the old paradigm, you have prescriptions, so rules. In the new paradigm, you have support to decision. So this means that farmers have to play an active role in learning and innovation, and they experiment themselves. So to get to the conclusions, we see that there is a positive feedback between academic research, on-farm experiments, and at the core of the new wave of innovation and research is what we call living labs. So multi-actors groups that discuss together a group and interact with researchers and carry out on-farm experiments that look at the differences that different contexts provide. And of course, this implies not only farm innovation, innovation at farm level, but system innovation, considering that farmers are connected to different types of systems that can be affected by this innovation. And with this, I would like to thank you.